All right, welcome back. This is episode 4, Physical and Metaphorical, How Reality Actually Speaks. If you're here, you've actually done something pretty remarkable. You have escaped an or trap. You found where you were swinging, you wrote an and statement, you worked from integration instead of splitting, and you felt something shift. Maybe pressure released and options expanded. Hopefully, wholeness emerged. You experienced and, not as a concept, but as a lived reality. Now, we are ready for what comes next. And this is where it gets beautiful. Because everything we've done so far was preparing you for this question. Is reality literal or metaphorical? And if you're still in or, you will answer with or. It's literal, materialism. There's only atoms and physics. Or it's metaphorical, idealism, only meaning and symbol. And you'll miss what's actually there because you are not in or anymore. You know, and now you have felt it. You have lived it. So you are ready to see. Reality is literal and metaphorical. Simultaneously, always, physical form is symbolic teaching. Structure is meaning. Function is message. These are not separate. They are one thing. Today, I'm going to teach you how to read it, how to see what reality has been showing you your whole life, how to hear what the world is constantly saying. This is the gateway to metaphorical literacy. This is learning to read reality's language. All right, let's begin. Throughout history, humanity has asked, what is reality? And it's split into two camps. Camp 1, the materialist. Reality is physical. Matter is fundamental. What you can measure, weigh, and touch, and quantify. Oh, that is what's real. Everything else, meaning, purpose, consciousness, symbol. That is human projection. The materialist says the heart is a pump. The brain is a computer. Trees are carbon processors. You are complex chemistry. These are just mechanisms. There is no inherent meaning. We create meaning. Reality doesn't have it. Camp 2, the idealist. Reality is consciousness. Mind is fundamental. What matters? Meaning, purpose, spirit, and symbol. The physical is appearance, Maya, which is illusion, lower reality, to be transcended. The idealist says the heart represents love. The mind creates reality. Trees symbolize growth. You are divine consciousness temporarily inhabiting a form. Just symbols. Physical is less real than spiritual. We are trapped in our bodies. Liberation is escape. These camps have fought for millennia. Science versus religion. Materialism versus spirituality. Literal versus metaphorical. Each side thinks that they're right, thinks that the other is wrong, can't integrate, can't find peace. Does this sound familiar? It is an or trap. on a global scale. Is reality physical or consciousness? It's a binary question. It's a forced choice. It's false. Both sides are partially right, and both sides reject half of the truth. The materialist is right because physical is real. Form matters. Structure has function, and bodies exist. But the idealist is right because meaning is real. Consciousness matters. Symbols teach us, and spirit exists. The mistake that both make? Thinking it's one or the other, when it's always been and. Physical and metaphorical. Form and meaning. Structure and teaching. Literal and symbolic. Not two separate things, one thing. Expressing both simultaneously. Now, let me show you. So let's start with something simple. Your ear. The materialist reads it, the ear is an organ for detecting sound waves. It has a physical structure. An outer ear funnels sound. The eardrum vibrates. 3 bones amplify. The cochlea translates to electrical signal. Auditory nerve sends to the brain. Function, hearing. That's it. It's just a mechanism. Now, the idealist reads it, the ear represents receptivity, openness, and divine listening. Symbolic meaning, receiving what comes, opening to truth, hearing the voice of God. The metaphor, spiritual capacity. That's it. It is just a symbol. Now, we'll watch what happens with an and. The ear's physical design teaches the principle of receptivity. Look at how it's built. You cannot close your ears, unlike eyes which have lids, unlike your mouth which you can shut, unlike your nose, well, you can hold your breath. Ears are always open. So what does this teach? Real receptivity requires vulnerability. You can't selectively receive. You must stay open to everything. Then discern on the inside. The form can't close teaches the principle true openness equals vulnerability. The ear has a balance in the organ in the same structure. The inner ear, the cochlea for hearing, and the vestibular system for balance. Same location, integrated. Well, what does this teach? Receiving requires grounding. You need balance while staying open. You can't just receive everything without being centered. It would overwhelm. It would fail. The form, hearing plus balance together, teaches the principle that receptivity plus grounding equals integrated. The ear has 3 tiny bones, some of the smallest bones in the body, and yet they amplify sound 20 times through a mechanical leverage. Why so small, and why such a precise amplification? Well, what does this teach? Subtle messages become clear through the proper structure. A small signal is amplified to being perceptible. The quiet voice made loud, enough to hear. The soul whispers, it's a conscious recognition. The form, the tiny bones amplifying, teaches the principle. The structure enables subtle truth to be heard. Do you see what's happening? The physical isn't separate from the metaphorical. The physical expresses the metaphorical. Form is meaning. Structure is teaching. The ear doesn't just work physically and mean something metaphorically. The ear works the way it does to show the principle it embodies. Can't close equals teaches vulnerable receptivity. Balanced integrated equals teaching grounded openness. Tiny bones amplify equals teaches structure enables subtle truth. The literal function is the metaphorical teaching. They are not two separate readings. They are one thing. Reality speaking through form. This is how everything works. Not just your ears, everything. Okay, let me show you more. So once you see the pattern, you can read anything. So let's practice. The tree. The materialist reading. Photosynthesis. Carbon sequestration. Reproduction via seeds. The idealist reading. Well, it's a symbol of growth, reaching for heaven, rootedness in earth. The and reading. Well, look at the structure. The roots are below the ground. You can't see them. The trunk is visible, it's solid and present. And the branches are reaching up. The leaves are seasonal. They come and go. So what does this form teach? Well, growth requires an invisible foundation. You see the tree, you don't see the roots. But the roots determine the tree's stability, its health, and its capacity. So what is the teaching? Most of what determines your visible life is invisible. Your beliefs, your unconscious patterns, and your history. The tree grows up towards light. Not sideways, not down, up. The teaching? Growth has direction. Aspiration is built into life itself. Trees grow in seasons. Spring, new growth. Summer, full expression. Fall, letting go. Winter, rest and integration. What's the teaching? Well, life is cyclical. It is not linear. Rest is necessary. Death, which is letting go, enables rebirth. Branches split and split again. One trunk, two branches, 4, 8, infinite complexity. The teaching? Unity becomes diversity. One source, many expressions, a fractal nature of existence. The form? Roots, trunks, branches, seasons, teaches the principle, an invisible foundation, about directional growth, cycles, and fractal differentiation. The river. The materialist reading. Water flowing downhill due to gravity, erosion patterns, and hydrological cycle. Idealist reading. Symbol of life's journey, going with flow, persistence. The and reading? Well, the river always flows to its lowest point. Never uphill, it never stops midway, it finds the path of least resistance. What is the teaching? Well, work with the natural flow, not against it. Forcing creates suffering. Ease exists when things are aligned. A river shapes the landscape over time, not through force, through persistence, through constant, gentle pressure. What's the teaching? Persistence shapes reality. Small, consistent action changes everything. Time matters more than intensity. A river is fed by countless tributaries, many sources all flowing to one. Individual streams become a collective river. The teaching? Well, individual contributions matter. Your small stream feeds the larger flow. Unity from diversity. The river eventually reaches the ocean. Always, regardless of obstacles. Now, it may take time, but the destination is certain. The teaching? Return to source is inevitable. The journey matters, but the ending is assured. You are going home. The form? Flowing down, persistent wearing, tributaries merging, reaching the ocean, which teaches the principles: alignment with natural flow, persistence over force, individual serving the collective, an inevitable return to source. The door, a materialist reading, it's a barrier between spaces. This is a security mechanism. It is an architectural element. The idealist reading, well, it's a symbol of opportunity, threshold, choice to enter-exit. And reading, well, the door has two sides, inside and outside. Well, it's the same door, but a different perspective depending upon where you stand. So, what is the teaching? Well, what seems like two separate realities is one thing from different angles. Inside-outside is not actually separate. The door can be opened or closed, but it's still a door. The function remains. The state changes. So what's the teaching? You can be opened or closed while still remaining yourself. States shift. Essence persists. The door requires a threshold, neither inside nor outside. It's a liminal space between. The teaching? Well, the transformation happens in the between. The transition space is real and necessary. You cannot skip the threshold. The door must be open to pass through. You cannot walk through a closed door. And you can't stay in a doorway forever. You must commit to entering. The teaching? Some things require action. Knowing about an opportunity is not the same as taking it. Eventually, you must choose to step through. The form? Well, two sides, open and closed. The threshold, which requires passing through, and teaches the principles: perspectives on one reality, changeable states, liminal space, and commitment to action. So, what is our pattern? Well, in every physical form, it has a literal function, which is how it works. And then an embodied metaphorical principle of what it teaches. And these are not separate. In other words, form is teaching. So you can read natural objects, trees, rivers, mountains, oceans, fire, wind, body parts, heart, gut, lungs, hands, eyes, skin, human-made objects, bridges, houses, roads, mirrors, wheels, processes, the seasons, tides, day and night, birth and death, and animals, how they move, hunt, nest, and migrate, relationships, how people connect, conflict, and heal. Everything is information. Everything is teaching. Physical reality is consciousness made visible. Form is how source communicates. You've been surrounded by teachings your whole life. You just didn't know the language. But now you do. So here is where people get confused. Okay, so I can interpret things metaphorically, like nice poetry, but it's just my interpretation, right? I mean, am I projecting meaning onto meaningless matter? Well, not necessarily. This is the crucial recognition. You're not adding meaning to form. You are reading meaning from form. The meaning is in the structure. The example, well, the ear can't close. That is not interpretation, that is a fact. You cannot add eyelids to ears through wishful thinking. The structure is what it is. Now, the structure can't close inherently, which creates a condition because it's always receptive. This inherent condition teaches a principle that true openness requires vulnerability. The principle is in the structure. It's not projected onto it. It is discovered from it. All right, so another example, water flows downhill. That is physics, not interpretation. Water flowing downhill inherently demonstrates a principle. Work with natural flow, not against it. The principle emerges from the physics. The physics express the principle. They are not separate. This is why indigenous peoples, mystics, and contemplatives have always read nature this way. They're not being primitive or superstitious. They are being accurate. They see what's actually there. Form expressing principle. Physical embodying metaphysical. Literal demonstrating symbolic. The mistake modern thinking makes, assuming that we invented meaning, assuming that reality is meaningless until we interpret it. This is backwards. Reality is meaningful. It always was. We just stopped reading it. We reduced everything to pure mechanism and lost the language. So, what are we doing now? We are relearning to read. We are not inventing. Reading. The text was always there. Written in form, spoken through structure, taught through function. Physical reality is metaphysical reality. Not or, and. Always. This is not poetry. This is perception. This is what seeing is. Now, it's your turn. 2 weeks to develop metaphorical literacy. Week 1, read 3 things. Each day, pick one physical thing and read it. Day 1, your hand. The literal. What does it do? It grasps, it releases, it creates, it touches, and it manipulates. What's the form? How is it structured? Well, it has 5 fingers, an opposable thumb, palm, and flexible joints. Teaching, what does this structure teach? Holding and releasing, both are necessary. Creation requires manipulation. Shaping reality. Connection through touch. Physical contact matters. 5 directions from one center. Unity expressing as diversity. And statement, the hand structure, hold, release, create, touch, unified, diverse, teaches principles about how I engage reality. Day 2, water. Literal. What does it do? Well, it flows, it adapts to container, it is essential for life, and it can be a solid, liquid, or gas. Form, well, how does it behave? Well, it takes shape of a vessel. It's persistent, it's transformative, and it's cyclical. Teaching, well, what does this behavior teach? Adaptation without losing essence. Be flexible, stay yourself. Persistence shapes reality, consistent over forceful. Transformation is possible. States change, substance persists, and returns to source. Evaporation, rain, ocean, repeat. And statement, water's behavior. Flowing, adaptive, persistent, cyclical. Teaches principles about transformation and return. Day 3, a door in your home. The literal, what does it do? Well, it separates spaces. provides access, offers security, marks boundaries. The form, how is it built? Well, there's two sides. It can open and close. Has a threshold, requires action. The teaching, what does this structure teach? Well, boundaries are necessary for protection and connection. States change, open and closed are both valid. Between spaces matters. Threshold is real. Must act to pass through. Knowledge is not experience. And statement, the door's structure, boundaries, states, threshold, package, teaches principle about protection, transition, and commitment. So continue this practice for 7 days. Those were examples. Each day, pick one thing, a body part, a natural object, a human-made thing, or a process. Describe the literal function. Observe the form and the structure. Ask, what does this form teach? Write the and statement. This structure teaches. Now, possibilities, your breath. Inhale and exhale with rhythm. A bridge, connecting while honoring a gap. Fire, transformation through consumption. Your eyes, perceiving requires distance. A seed, death precedes birth. Morning-night cycle, rest enables activity. Your spine, flexibility with structure. Now, week 2, live as a student. Now that you can read form, every day reality will teach you. Your practice, notice what happens. Something breaks. Something arrives. Weather changes. Dream comes. Synchronicity happens. Body symptoms emerge. Instead of a random event or bad luck or coincidence or, well, it's just physical, ask, what is reality teaching me through this form? An example, your car breaks down. The literal, well, it's a mechanical failure. It needs a repair. Metaphorical, what in your life needs attention? What's no longer functioning? Where are you ignoring maintenance? What journey needs to pause? And fix the car. Literal. And examine what this breakdown is showing you. Metaphorical. Example, unexpected person from the past contacts you. Literal, message receive. Can respond or not. Metaphorical, what does this person represent? What unfinished business? What part of your past is returning? What needs completion or integration? And respond appropriately. Literal. And consider that this reunion is teaching. Metaphorical. Example, you get sick. Literal, virus, rest, recover. Metaphorical, what are you exhausted from? What needs to slow down? What is your body forcing you to stop and integrate? What is out of balance? And treat the illness, which is literal, and hear what the body is saying, metaphorical. For 7 days, journal each evening. Today, reality taught me through event or form. The literal, what happened physically. The form, what structure or pattern emerged. Teaching, what principle was being shown. And how I honored both literal and metaphorical. By the end of 2 weeks, you will have developed metaphorical literacy. You can read form. Active listening. Reality is always teaching. Integration practice. Honoring both literal and metaphorical. You'll see, nothing is random. Everything teaches. Form is information. Reality speaks constantly. You will understand physical and metaphorical are not separate. You are surrounded by wisdom. The world is conscious communication. Reading reality is available to everyone. This is the gateway opening. Please do the work. So here is where we are. Episodes 1 through 3, we escaped or thinking. We recognized binary splits, reality. We learned to hold and exited or traps. Episode 4, today, reality speaks in and. Physical and metaphorical simultaneously. Form is teaching. Everything can be read. Well, what's ahead? Episode 5, You and the Universe. The separation that never was. This is where it completes. You have learned or fragments and integrates. Reality operates in and. Now, the final recognition. You and the universe are not separate either. Inside out equals a false binary. Observer observed is one thing. You are not in reality. You are reality experiencing itself as you. This is not a metaphor. It is literal and metaphorical. But you can't hear this from or. You must be in and to recognize it. That is why we built this so carefully. Episodes 1 through 3 move you from or to and. Episode 4 show you reality is and. Episode 5 you recognize you are and. Episode 6 live from and completely. You are ready for episode 5 when you read 7 things, week 1. You lived as a student, week 2. You can see form teaching. You recognize reality speaks constantly. Then we go to the ultimate and, the wave and the ocean, the fragment and whole, you and source, not separate, never were, just forgot. Episode 5 is the remembering. But first, 2 weeks reading reality, learning the language, becoming literate. Then, the recognition that changes everything. All right, I'll see you there after you've learned to read. Oh, before you go, do me a favor. If you're able to, look at your hand right now. I mean, really look. See the structure. 5 fingers. Can hold and release. Can grasp and let go. Can create and destroy. Can connect and defend. This structure is not random. It's teaching you that both are necessary. Hold and release. Control and surrender. Create and allow. Your hand knows and. Your hand is and. Physical form demonstrating metaphysical principle. This is how reality always worked. You are just learning to read it now. Please, keep reading. Reality has so much to tell you. Be whole.